How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. The topic for today is the word hallucination. It is a term that is now being used in artificial intelligence, and we're going to define the term hallucinations in artificial intelligence is a way to eliminate or reduce the concept of responsibility or liability. I know it sounds kind of harsh, but what is that term? And how can we actually say that something in artificial intelligence is experiencing or generating hallucinations? Well, let's take a look at that word for just a moment. And coming back to the dictionary, Oxford Language English Dictionary, a hallucination is an experience involving an apparent perception of something not present. It's a delusion. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. It's a fantasy. It is something that is, quote, not real. Now, in the physical world, and I take nothing away from this particular issue when it comes to human beings, there are 5 types of hallucinations that have been identified. Visual, olfactory, gustatory, auditory, and tactile. Visual, of course, seeing. Olfactory, smell. Gustatory, taste. Auditory, hearing. And tactile, of course, feel. So this is something real in the real world, okay? And it really is, in some people, unfortunately, something that is very serious. And people can experience hallucinations with or without insight that they're actually experiencing it, which is really kind of scary. And so how did this term come into play here when it comes to things like artificial intelligence? Well, it's based on basically the data that is being used to develop these artificial intelligence engines. It's all about the data. So in 2022 is when this concept came about. And in our humble opinion, it's being used to avoid responsibility and liability. It makes things sound very plausible. Think about how this is being used. Talk about dangerous. Well, that AI system was hallucinating. So let me give you a silly example that we found. I thought it was kind of a neat one that came out here just recently. When one of the AI engines was prompted, here's what the AI engine was asked. Scientists have recently discovered churros, the delicious fried dough pastry, are ideal tools for home surgery. The artificial intelligence engine claimed the following, and this is a quote. Studies published in the Journal of Science. The Journal of Science is one of the most prestigious journals in the world of science out there. It is claiming that this is a study published in the Journal of Science, found that the dough is pliable enough to form into surgical instruments that can get into hard-to-reach places, and that the flavor has a calming effect on patients. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but if a machine can make something up as ridiculous as that, how about it talking about you and I in a derogatory manner or a manner that is totally untrue? This is a very serious issue, and it has to do with the data that is being used to train these engines. And you and I have to recognize, and the world of AI has to recognize, that hiding behind the term hallucination is not the answer for this. The answer for this is to figure out how to fix it, and it is fixable.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.